How you doing? Here for the umpteenth time, trying to do this live stream. Welcome to Uncle Papa Sports Talk. I'm trying to do a Memphis Grizzlies interview, talking about the GM. The GM talking, and he talking about his thoughts on the season and what they're gonna be doing in the off season. So hope y'all enjoy. I'm gonna try to do it right this time. Okay, Max Kellerman.
Make sure that this is a unique spot to be in. Let's look back, hopefully a few years from now and say, no, that was something that was an accelerant to be able to get to where we know we can get to.
Hey Zach, when you talk about the reflection part of this season, second half of the year played Jaren exclusively at center more than at any point in the past. One, how do you think that projects into the future? Like, do you see him now more so as a center than a power forward? And then two, how does the second half of the season, Jaren's him playing center, kind of project into what you potentially will do in the offseason in terms of building around that?
Yeah, I think nothing's changed there. Honestly, I think I touched on that at least briefly, maybe at the deadline. We wanted to embrace this stretch with Jaren playing more of the five from a developmental standpoint, where we look ahead to trying to get through several rounds of the playoffs, against some teams, Jaren's going to have to be the five. I think we probably are best positioned if Jaren is playing the five. That being said, from a roster building standpoint, I think we see the value of having, a more traditional or true, whatever you want to call, a big. We've seen Jaren successful with those type of lineups as well. So we wanted to give Jaren those reps as a screener, as a roller, as a ball handler, as a five, spreading things out. And I think Jaren did an unbelievable job, making the most of those opportunities. Our hope was that, those reps could be meaningful, as we're thinking about the context that Jaren's going to have to be successful in for us to be the best team we can be, I think, in the playoffs. So I don't think that changes anything from a team building standpoint. Throw that Brandon Clark was able to come back and we were able to get more reps of Jaren and BC together. When we, kind of talked earlier about Brandon coming back, that this was the hope that he, for himself, could have momentum to build on going into next season. For the team, we wanted him to have an opportunity to play with guys who he's going to be playing with, next season. So that's a pairing that we still very much believe in going forward as well. Whoever you want to call the four and you want to call the five, in that pairing.
Believe in yourself. Believe in your neighbors. Believe in families.
With more.
Now, I like what he's saying. Everything sounds pretty good. He acknowledging that, we're gonna more likely need bigs. I don't know if I went too far ahead, but it's some of his discussion and some of the things that he addressed. And I'll come back and talk about some of the things that he addressed that I like and don't like.
Marcus Smart under contract next season, team option on Luke Kennard.
Yep.
And then you've had Vince Williams, Gigi Jackson, and Jake LaRavia all sort of emerge over the course of the season. Do you feel like that's a wing rotation you'd be comfortable taking into next season, given the expectations for next season?
Yeah, it's a wing rotation that I think we're really encouraged by. We went into some recent drafts and went into this season hoping that some wings would emerge that we would have confidence in going forward. And I think everyone that you named has either shown. Some of them are much more established players, obviously, that we had a lot of confidence going, in a guy like Marcus Smart, for example. But of the younger guys, I mean, Vince Williams, I think Vince has proven that he's someone that we have a lot of confidence in, right? To play a significant role, it can play different kinds of roles, but it will be significant, next season. I think Vince has shown that while being able to wear, a lot of different hats, he can impact winning, in different types of roles. Gigi Jackson, I think looking ahead to next year, Gigi's opportunity will be what is he ready for? We hope we're certainly going to continue to push Gigi and challenge him. And we all see what Gigi's capable, of doing, and the extent to which, that role continues to grow, or it'll be based on what is Gigi ready for, next year. That'll play itself out, I think, on the court. Jake's first sustained opportunity to really play. Sometimes having the opportunity to be out there and play through mistakes, for various reasons, including health, Jake just hadn't really had that opportunity until a month or two ago, and there's more work to be done, but I think it was an encouraging stretch, for Jake, and something to build on. So from my standpoint, we're continuing to build towards the championship until we win a championship, and all facets of the roster, of course, we're going to reflect and see where can we get better. But I think all of the players that you named, Luke, maybe you mentioned as well. Luke is someone we continue to feel, strongly about, someone who we, of course, brings a skill set that I think is important for this team and important in this NBA. Have decisions, to make on him that we'll make, coming up. But I think all of the players that you mentioned are individuals that we view as potentially important to our success going forward.
Looking forward, I know you're not going to be able to make any fundamental decisions after the draft lottery, but for roster construction for next year, what factors are you going to take into whether going to draft to build through the draft or going through free agency and reconstructing through free agency?
Yeah, I think, kind of the next major date on the calendar is the draft lottery. We'll have more information, obviously, about where what pick do we have, at that point, which begins to allow us to think through, next steps. I think we're going to be open-minded on what we can do with that pick. If on lottery night, we move up, what I would have to say is, oh, this is great, we've moved up. We're either going to take the best player available or trade the pick. If we don't move up on lottery night, I would say, oh, we still have this great pick. We're either going to trade the pick or pick the best player available. That's an opportunity. We know what we want to address. I think I've said it before. Like I envision we'll add at least a big, probably a big who would be part of the rotation, whether that's a starting big or rotational big. I think we have some work, to do on the roster there.
Now, do you hear me? Is my mic on? I want to make sure my mic on. I think my mic on. Wait a minute. 1 second. Give me 1 second, y'all. 1 second. I think it is. My mic on. Wait a minute. 1 second. Give me 1 second. I like what he's saying, especially. I like addressing. I like when he addressed the part where he talking about they need a big. Either they gonna bring in someone who gonna start, or bring someone in who coming off the bench. So what I'm saying is that right there sounds pretty good. I like hearing that part right there. We only got two options. And that's what he said. So I don't think there's like that ain't nothing hard to try to figure out. You got two options. You either find you a big coming off the bench, or you either find a big to pair up with Jared. So I'm gonna go and continue that, then I'll probably get my final thoughts on it real quick. Let me go back to it.
Definitely. That could be done by free agency, draft, trade, ways we could go about it. I think we'll have a better idea once we know where we are in that draft. I think the doors that are open are, may well be different depending on which players could be in a certain range and which players might be available, in trades, depending on what, where that pick lands. So that'll be, the allow us to really, start working through it.
Here, we have light tanks. Fast, yet vulnerable. Our predator is near, ready to...
Zach, I know the end of this season was, prioritizing health and recovery for some of the frontline guys. Can you sort of give an update on the status of Ja, some of those guys, Ja, Dez, just go through the list of the priority guys that didn't finish the season?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll work through it. And if there's anyone else you're curious about, please just chime in and I can touch on anyone. We've certainly had more than enough on that list lately. Ja's doing really well. Ja's on schedule right now. I would say he's expected to be fully cleared for basketball activities, maybe halfway, through the offseason. That was a 6-month recovery timeline post-surgery. He is on track, hitting everything. He's supposed to be on that. Ja's been very diligent, with his work. He's been around the team, pouring into that every day. Expected to be fully cleared and have had normal, basketball reps well ahead of training. Great spot. Dez had a back flare up. That's a weeks, not months, injury. Bummer that, great that he was able to get back and play with Jaren, play with, some of our guys. Brandon, I think they got a game together. Great to build on for next season. There's nothing where there's, I would say, a high level of concern. I don't anything other than Ja is still months, but on track. Everyone else, I think, I would say is probably in terms of a weeks of recovery remaining to be, fully cleared and have a healthy offseason and not months, if that gives enough clarity there.
Given the way that this season played out with all of the injuries, do you feel like you were able to properly diagnose what some of the weaknesses may be and the direction that you need to improve some of the weaknesses? And what did you identify as areas where this team needs to improve going into next season?
Yeah, I think we're, always honest with ourselves about, where are we encouraged by the roster's progress and where can we get better? Where are there opportunities to get better? I think the one that obviously stands out, certainly after the trade deadline, where I think we did create flexibility that will help us, improve the roster in general, going forward. But it's probably adding a big. That doesn't mean we're not gonna. It's no stone unturned. Every opportunity that we can look at, to continue to build around our core group and put them in the best possible position to be successful going into next season, where we have, very high, belief of what this group can achieve together. We're going to look at it, but that there's one that stands out, obviously, and we're not really trying to hide the ball on that.
With Josh specifically, he's played so little over a year and a half span, it feels like. What have you sensed from him when you've spoken to him in terms of his mindset, and sort of how do you hope he takes all of this in, what he's gone through here, both, with the off the court stuff a year ago, but then dealing with a major injury almost just as soon as he comes back?
Yeah, one of the it's not a disappointment, but I hated it for John. I hated it for the group that so soon after making, some real strides in the right direction, getting back on the court, and the group putting it together. When we had some opportunities to play some of the better teams in the NBA, when this group was closer to full strength, I thought that was encouraging, including for Ja himself. So to have a season-ending injury, and rug kind of pulled out, from under him, hated that for him. He's recalibrated. He's committed himself, very well, I think, to the rehab process. He's just excited to get back. There's a patience that's not fun, and that in where the season's been at, I think for all of us, it's I have ideas of what I want to do, and I can't even act on them, for months at this point. Still, we need to know where we're picking. We need to get to a point where you can transact again. We're excited to, be able to carry through on all of those things. I think for Ja, he just, he's been putting in the work. I think he's taken significant strides in his off-court approach. I think he'd be the first to tell you, still that he's not fully formed, and he's continuing, to work on himself. And no one should get complacent on any fronts. To be able to achieve what we're setting out to achieve, you have to be carry yourself with purpose and urgency, and I think Ja's doing that. I'm encouraged by Ja's progress. The work continues, but I do think Ja's very much moving in the right direction.
Hi. Yeah, could you please talk about Yuta Watanabe's improvement since he was here as a two-way player to a standard NBA player?
Yeah, I think it was great having Yuta back with us. Obviously, he's been out for a little bit of a stretch here, but nonetheless, it's been great to have him, back with our group. Yuta's someone whose game, I think, has grown considerably, since his first stop with us. Becoming, a real knockdown shooter from three, continuing to work on his body. He's always been someone that I think is kind of embodies the DNA of what we're about. He's a very team first player, very selfless, competitive, really goes about things the right way. And I think on all fronts of his game, there's been real growth.
Hey, Zach. So a year ago, in the same room, you guys made it a point that you wanted to add more veteran presence in the locker room with certain things happening. Do you think you saw that type of maturity and growth this season? And despite all of the, the injuries?
Yeah, I think there's been significant growth. Would give a lot of credit to Derrick Rose, who, that may not have played as many games as he hoped to this year, and as we hoped, for him to be able to play. But Derrick Rose has made a very significant impact. Just the presence that he has, the perspective that he has. I know he's someone that the guys definitely, really appreciate the perspective of and lean on. And would say the same thing for Marcus Smart, someone who, very much brings it, has, so much knowledge, to share from his the playoff runs that he's had, his approach, his care factor. I do think what those guys, have brought to the table has been significant, for the locker room. Again, not going to sit here and say that everyone is perfect and fully formed or anything to that effect. I think our guys are just now entering their core and increasingly, taking on responsibility themselves, of the standard that, that what we stand for from a team, and the ownership, I think, that they take of that, and recognize that there's a level at which they need to operate for us to be able to get to where we all believe, we're going to be able to get to. So I think those guys have been terrific in what they've brought to the table, and there has been, real growth from the guys with that in mind, and independently of that as well.
Now, that was encouraging. That I would have to say that was encouraging. Listen to Max, because I normally don't like. I've been like really upset with the organization or whatever for other reasons or whatever, but it's pertaining basketball and just certain players who I think that they wasting draft picks on. And the second part of it is I want to have Taylor Jenkins, Coach Jenkins. Then once I get Coach Jenkins them thoughts or whatever, then I want to go and listen to the players. And the first player, it's gonna be Ja. So right now coming up is Taylor Jenkins.
All eyes on me, brand new drip is what they see. Diamonds on my piece, brand new whip is what they see. Yeah.
The new 2024 Jeep Wrangler Gladiator Jeep. There's only one.
Producers, if you struggle finding sounds and samples that work for you, then you have to check out this plugin.
But he hanging on in there.
Morning, everybody.
Hey, Coach, I know at the beginning of the season you installed a new.
Morning, everybody.
Coach, I know at the beginning of the season you installed a new offense. With all the moving parts that went through it, could you get a good evaluation of it? And do you think you're going to tweak it in out season?
Yeah, I mean, I think, over 82 games, despite all the changes, I think we got a pretty good look at it. I mean, I think there were definitely positive moments. I mean, when we found like consistent, lineups, that early January, and obviously when Ja, came back in mid-December, we started seeing even the kinks that we still had to work out, knowing that the driving force of the offense was allowing, Ja, Dez, JJ in particular. I mean, you see his growth. Play with an empty paint was our biggest thing in third gear. Seeing even Derek Marcus, having to kind of lead, the offense, when Ja was out. So the pockets of the season made it hard to evaluate it. I don't know to what extent we'll make the tweaks. I think personnel definitely drives a lot of it. I mean, we definitely have a vision of how we want to playing, when we talk about Ja, Dez, and Jaren in particular, and seeing Jaren's growth, where we play into their strengths in the open court. We've got to play fast. That's how we've played, the first 4 years. That's something we wanted to lean into coming into year 5. But we're definitely going to take a step back, try to process these 82 games, see the other guys' growth in this process.
First of all, that's my coach. I like Coach Jenkins. So I understand where Coach Jenkins come from. And I said that Coach Jenkins has another level. He's not through with the Grizzlies, I'm telling you. He's not through. We got another level.
Process as well, especially of late, seeing, what Vince, Gigi, even Jake, what they were doing, seeing BC finally back. That's going to, put a lot of stock into, where our system is at. So that's going to be the projects that we're going to work on as a coaching staff. The numbers are going to reveal some things, but I don't think that's necessarily a fair assessment of what the system can become, knowing that there were pockets of the season that revealed pretty good offense, efficient offense. But there's naturally going to be, is Jaren at the 4, Jaren at the 5, that'll dictate some things, when it comes to our system. And but I think it gives us a lot of optionality as well.
Taylor, you just talked about a little bit there about, it's Jaren at the 4, Jaren at the 5. When you reflect on the second half of that season and looking forward for you as a coach, what's, I guess, your prototypical ideal pairing from the power forward and center spot? What type of combination are you looking forward to having in those positions to kind of maximize what you want to do as a team and as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy to point to the big. I mean, Zach and I have been talking all season long, especially when we made some moves, throughout the year, and really elevated to JJ specifically playing at the 5 position. We're trying to play in positionless, but you definitely need to complement, everyone's strengths out there and account for things that, maybe someone needs, from a big spot, maybe even a guard spot as well. So we're taking a lot of things into consideration, going into the summer, but seeing, JJ, his versatility, the offensive side of the 5 is something that just really jumps off the page that we want to lean into more. But there's also some things that we got to account for on the defensive side. As I've said, his superpower of being the secondary defender, maybe, not as much as the primary defender. You never know what 82 games is going to need it, in a playoff series, what it's going to need, matchup to matchup. So kind of hard conversations. I think there's an element of size, an element of, are we going to be switching a little bit more? Obviously the prototypes that we've had prior to JJ at the 5 with, Jonas and Steven, we saw.
Check this out.
A lot of success there on the defense.
Check this out. I told you Coach Jenkins got another level. In my mind, this is what I mean, not in my mind, but I heard him say that they probably need a backup center, somebody who gonna complement Jerry Jackson Jr., right? Also, he spoke of a guard. Now, I know he's not bringing in no little bitty guards, so you don't have to bring in. This is the exciting part. Like with Coach Jenkins' system, you gotta play defense. So as a scout, everybody who doesn't play defense at that Memphis Grizzlies level type of defense, we gonna pass on them guys. So I'm gonna one of these mock draft. I'm gonna do a mock draft. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna probably pick 5 players, and I'm gonna do each position, 5 guards, and I'm gonna do 5 power forwards and 5 centers. One of the reasons why I'm doing 5 guards and 5 centers, the ones that doesn't play defense at a high level, you might as well put them down on the list first. Because if Taylor Jenkins is not bringing in nobody else who ain't playing defense. So I'm very interested in seeing. And then too, him and Max Kellerman, he said they was going back and forth through the year, as far as having a discussion about they needing bigs. So my thing was, I felt a certain kind of way. I felt a certain kind of way earlier in the year, for the simple fact that the people that they was bringing in didn't fit the mold to go alongside Jerry Jackson Jr. And I know that ain't Coach Jenkins type of player. Like, he played defense, don't get me wrong, but he's not a defender that Jerry needed on the side of him. You know what I'm saying? Jerry don't need nobody smaller than him, unless they can handle themselves. But unless there's a Bam, somebody from Miami, the big Bam from Miami, somebody that known can, like, you ain't bullying them. See, this is what I'm saying. Memphis need it. What I'm saying is the picks that I'm looking up is gonna be picks where these guys gonna bring that defensive aspect, and then gotta have some kind of IQ. I'm gonna finish the video with Coach Jenkins.
Defensive side, so that factors into the equation, and the more that we can get shooting on the floor. I mean, obviously when you've got Ja, Dez, JJ specifically, those guys being kind of primary, attack guys, from the guard big position, having, whether it's another big out there that can shoot and stretch the floor when those guys are creating the advantage, is also factoring in. So I don't think there's one clear-cut ideal, big pairing to answer your question. I think there's a couple different ways we can go up, but that also kind of bleeds into what the perimeter looks like as well.
Yeah. So see, that's what I'm talking about. This is the very thing that I'm talking about, that they were saying, all kind of stuff about Coach Jenkins. I like, man, y'all tripping. It ain't him. I felt like it wasn't him. I felt like that it was more of Max Kellerman, not Max Kellerman, but Zach Kellerman, Kinsman, was at I don't know, maybe they was at disagreement because of the kind of players that he was bringing them. Like he brought a 5'9" point guard. Well, what Memphis gonna do with it? Even though he can shoot about the basketball, but what is Memphis gonna do with little bitty guards? And they already done lost. They done already lost Ja for all the amount of games, man. And y'all knew that Steven Adams wasn't coming back. I mean, they knew he was out for the year. They knew before we knew. So I'm saying if y'all knew this for we did, and y'all still didn't go get no help, to me, it sounded like that was, to me, I'm just saying, to me, it was like plan A was by Ja missing all that time. Plan A was, I think, go with the flow. But as soon as danger come, meaning somebody get hurt, whatever, we snatching our players. And and that's what it looked like to me. It looked like Marcus Smart broke his finger, right? And you pull him for breaking his finger. You pull him, man, for breaking his finger. The only thing he had to do was put a brace on it, put him back in the Atlanta lineup. He would have played. A broken finger. So I'm just saying, little stuff like that Memphis was doing, like who they was going to pick up. They wasn't trying to, like, not saying they trying to, go for the gusto, but then they still at the same time was holding on some players who I believe they could have got something for. They could made room for Gigi early in the year. Because I think I wouldn't say it would have been a different, but by him getting that opportunity at the early stage of the year. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it wasn't good to get him, to have him Gigi to come in early like that. You know what I'm saying? But the man has proven himself all through summer league and everything. So I'm saying you still got maybe three or four. Let me see. Tillman gone. I forgot. Let me write that down. Tillman got traded too. And I said that last time. I said, first of all, they too small. And look at the people that they let go. They let Roddy go. He's 6'5". Brooks go. He's 6'6". Adams 7 feet. And Tillman 6'8". They done traded Roddy, Brooks, Adams, and all them folks is the front court. They traded all their front court with the front court pieces, but I'm just showing you the hole that the Grizzlies front office really actually, to me, they created. They created that. You the one drafted Roddy. Y'all the one drafted Tillman. Tillman been doing good, but what I'm saying is he knew the man was a liability because of his length. So y'all done gave this young man a contract, and then in the regulars in off season, then come back in the off season and then have the nerve to let the man play. And then trade him when you could have been done trade him when his value was up there. I know somebody wanted him, but I know what happened in a way, because when everybody started getting injured, then all that playoff talk and all that other stuff, that stuff gone out the door. But what I'm saying is that I think that the front office took their own time. Like, it's like they wasn't in a hurry, because this is actually a great position if you look at it. What you mean great position? Man, they finna get another lottery pick along with Ja, Bane, and Tripp. Then you got another lottery pick in Gigi. Now you finna get another one more likely. Hopefully they be in the, I really, want them to be in the top 3, but I don't know if you like that. I'm trying to see what did Memphis give. I'm gonna tell you this. I think if Memphis gave away a lot in the trade value, and look who the teams that they trade them to. They traded Roddy to Phoenix. That's a playoff team. They traded Brooks to a borderline team. Adams, same thing. Tillman. I forgot what I think Tillman went to. Dang. I don't know if Tillman went to a playoff team, but everybody they let go, man, were front court players, which they picked up. Brooks was fine. I had no problem with that. It's just the way they let him go. That's what I was upset with them. And Roddy, they the one drafted him 6'6", and they seen the kind of guy he was. Then Tillman, same thing. Nice player, but he too short. He undersized. Adams been injured for the last 2 years. So you gonna tell me they did not know that this man wasn't coming back before, and all of a sudden he got injured? Nah, they don't make sense to me. I don't think it actually happened like that in my mind because of the way how they handle their situation. But check it out. I'm gonna let Coach Jenkins finish it up. And when Coach Jenkins finish it up, then I'm gonna start with the players.
Taylor, you've been managing injury and recovery schedules almost since training camp last year. How much of a relief is it to finally put that sort of behind you? And how healthy do you anticipate this summer being for some of the key guys going in?
Yeah, I think anticipating it to be a very healthy summer. I think, the majority of the guys that are out, some of them are just a few weeks away. I think Ja's the one that's, maybe a couple months away. I think by, beginning of summer, June-ish or something, he's supposed to ramp up a little bit more into his basketball, work this summer, which is really exciting and really encouraging. So, fingers crossed. You never know what happens over the summer, but I think we're going to be able to have a good start to our summer with the majority of the roster from a health standpoint, and hopefully that bleeds into great work. And then come, start a training camp in October, we're fully healthy, which is obviously, something we've missed this year. But I think we're going to be in a good place health-wise with the entire roster.
Taylor, in the back. Obviously, you are very much about giving the credit to your players. That being said, it would have been really easy at multiple points this year for that locker room to check out on you, and they did not. I'm curious, do you allow yourself to give you a pat on the back for keeping these guys locked in and focused on the goal at hand despite the terrible circumstances and the hand you guys were dealt?
Never. It's not about me. It's about the entire group. I think the players were phenomenal. It's one of the first things I told them in my final team meeting. Because this could have easily gone sideways, with all the adversity. Every day was a new challenge. I think everyone, players, coaching staff, medical staff, we just put our heads down and try to figure out how to, just navigate day to day, phase to phase, throughout the season. We actively talked about as a group, the reality that we were facing. And there's, two paths that you can take. You're going to keep pouring the work and keep competing and keep trying to strive for that standard that we, live out every single day, or you're going to go the other direction, which could probably, not be very good for anybody. So the testaments to the entire group.
Taylor, this is your first year since 2019-20 under 500, but it's completely different from any other year, right? Coaching over 30 players, being a guy in the morning and then playing him that night in some situations. Do you feel like you've grown as a coach this year? And if so, how have you grown?
Yeah, I think adaptability. Obviously, everyone in the NBA strives for consistency, on a lot of different fronts, not just, the lineups that you roll out there. But, to me, it was adaptability. The way that I've always been wired dating back to, when I coached in the D League and when I first came to the NBA. If you're truly going to love, this profession of teaching and educating, you've got to read your audience. You got to know your audience. You got to know who you're working with every single day and understand what they need of you in that specific moment. So that's what I leaned into. I think that's what our staff leaned into. And luckily, I'm blessed to work with an amazing group of players that allows me to do that. I don't take that for granted being the head coach here. So definitely unique. We definitely had our circumstances, as you said. We had, guys coming in, fresh the first day and getting thrown in at night. I think, credit to our hustle staff as well and our hustle program. So many guys that were, playing with the hustle this year stepped up and filled some roles with us throughout the season. So having that connectivity, you never know what a season's going to present to you. So I think we leaned on a lot of different, people, throughout this process, but the one constant was trying to figure out how are we just going to address the needs of the team, today and go out and hopefully compete and give great efforts. So that's something that hopefully still a driving force, every single year for us here.
told y'all. I said, man, Coach Jenkins. I like Coach Jenkins. I like what he talk. I like how he talk. I mean, he bag it up. Like he a great, coach. He came from that branch over there with Milwaukee. Milwaukee got a championship under their belt. He come from up under that tree. And he come from up under that tree. I think the way the Grizzlies, the way he want to play and the way he sees his team, man, they gonna have length. They gonna need length to do what he want to do. He want to play defense, but then at the same time, he want to push that rock. He want to push. He want to play fast, and when he playing fast, that means you're gonna have to play. You're gonna have to go deep into your roster. You can't play fast, and then you don't have no deep bench. So that means is what I'm saying. I think this. Then this is me. I think that he was ahead of the front office, as far as knowing probably what they needed, and in the front office, I think they failed them. I think that front office failed them like the first part of the year because they weren't trying to win. That's what I truly believe. I truly believe they weren't trying to win. I truly believe that if you look at all the things I just named, all the stuff I just named how they went and got low-level players, which it wasn't no superstar players out there, but hey, at least you go get somebody who's a banger that can play alongside of Jared, even if you don't got to spend hardly no money. But why would you go get a guy 6'8", undersized, then talking about you trying to pair him with Jared? He ain't. Jared might be stronger than him the way it was looking. Like I'm just saying, I call it a panic move. But I'm just these are the things that went through my mind when Ja didn't come when Ja came back and it started unraveling. Then Bane went out with an injury. Then Luke Kennard went out with an injury. Then who else went out with it? Just was a trigger effect. But I know too, like when they say it rains, it pours. But in this case, you ain't gonna be able to stop it. The way how they injured was happening back to back, and they was constantly bringing players after player after new player after new player. It was a wrap. It kind of like burnt me out. Straight up, I got burnt out like a mother. I said, I don't want to keep looking at this, even though I keeping up with it. Far as who won tonight. Who did what, Gigi did what, but I even talked about Gigi. I even said about Gigi in the early season. I had talked to some folks who liked the Gigi or whatever, and we were just having a conversation, right? And they were saying that he ain't ready. He gonna be red-shirted. And I was saying, no, sir, dude gonna come in and he gonna play. Why they say that? Because this guy who they said you can't look at film and you can't tell, and I was like, you a lie, you can tell. Give me all the YouTube videos he got, and especially when he played in college. And you can tell me, you can see when if he play hard, you can see if he physical, you can see if he mentally tough. You can see that through when they playing in the games. That's one thing. What was wrong with the Memphis Tigers? Memphis Tigers had the personnel, far as they had length at certain positions that other colleges don't have length, and that was at somewhat like the 2, 3, and maybe the 2 and 3. Like they was 6'5", 6'6". You know what I'm saying? 6'7", long, lengthy. You know what I'm talking about? And when you can put a basketball team like that on the court, this is in my opinion, man, you should be able to defend. And I think this was up with Coach Jenkins looking this offseason for the Grizzlies front office to go get the man some pieces, nigga, who can play some defense, who you ain't gotta, they ain't gotta get in the weight room. Hell, you already got him big enough where hell, you draft him, he already 215, 220. You look at the numbers on when he get ready to do this what they call it, getting ready for the NBA. Look at them numbers. He picked the thing up 30 times. He picked the thing up 22 times. It tells you how strong these guys is. So when you watching, I think what it is, a lot of people they get caught up in that one and done in case scenarios like that. That's true too, but I'd rather take where Memphis is as an organization or not an organization, but as a team. Memphis need players who gonna play his system out. What do you mean? Gonna be physical, gonna be tough, gonna be able to pass the rock, gonna be able to execute his plays. You know what I'm saying? They done had a team like the last couple of years, like the last 4 years, I say, upon this regime, that they won't stop fighting. Right, they'll keep battling, but I'm saying, and then when I'm saying too, like the front office giving the Grizzlies what they actually need, far as bigs, and I ain't talking about just playing center. I'm talking about your small forwards being 6'7", 6'8". So now when you get ready, the Grizzly whole philosophy should be on switching everything. And you shouldn't have nothing but Luke Kennard and maybe Ja. That's it. Everybody else need to be able to hold their own at least one-on-one for, not the whole game, because the game is played far as a team. It's a team game. So you may need help on certain possessions. You know what I'm saying? But if you got a guy that's 6'8", 6'9", 225, 230 who can play defense on the perimeter. I'm not talking about going get no guy who's an average defensive player, and then you talking about putting him in Taylor Jenkins' program. You can't do that. No, they need to get, man, I'm hoping the Grizzlies go in there, man, and get this man some real dogs. If they don't go in there, get some real dogs, or go in there, take them draft pick, go and search inside the NBA. Go over to the other league. You got guys over in them other leagues who ready for take a next step. Like they got a guy 9. Greeley got a guy 9, 6'7". Tobias, I can't think of his whole name, but he over in the other seas. They done signed his they got a contract on him, so they stashing him and waiting and letting him develop. You know what I'm saying? He could have played this year. You don't know. That might be that Bogdanovich that we looking for. But you're gonna keep waiting and waiting and waiting. Then when you bring his ass over here, you ain't gonna be able to get him. You ain't gonna be able to sign him. You're gonna have to let him go, and somebody else gonna pick him up, and then he gonna be their dime in the rough. Instead of when you seeing them guys like that, you got them stashed over there, man. He had some in the cloud. Bring them on up. You bringing the other players up out of the G League. You didn't want to stash him in the G League because he might be seen. But I'm just saying, man, this is my thoughts when it comes down to these Memphis Grizzlies and how this front office think. And I think outside the box. I always think outside the box. Why? Because you never know what's going to happen inside the box. You know what I'm saying? So I just look at it. I look at it from a different. I look at it different. I look at it straight up different.
Life Care Ambulance is proud to be an official partner of the Memphis Grizzlies and FedEx Forum. At Life Care, they wear their hearts with...
I done got our point.
I think in several instances,
that was
talk about anyone you
so
guys want to touch on. Scottie Pippen Jr., for example. someone who we're excited. I think Scotty's proven that he's an NBA player.
I did Coach
I chose Wix for my business because of its massive scope for functionality and freedom of creation.
Morning,
Let me
everybody.
see. Did I get friend with Coach Jenkins? Nah, he was way up here.
Hey, Coach, I know to get.
Things I told him in my final team meeting, because this could have easily gone sideways. With all of the adversity, every day was a new. I think trying to strive for that standard that we live out every single day, or you're going to go the other direction, which could probably not be very good for anybody. So the testaments to the entire group.
Taylor, this is where your first year since 2019-20 under 500, but it was completely different from any other year, right? Coaching over 30 players, meeting a guy in the morning, and then playing him that night in some situations. Do you feel like you've grown as a coach this year? And if so, how have you grown?
Yeah, I think adaptability. Obviously, everyone in the NBA strives for consistency, on a lot of different fronts, not just, the lineups that you roll out there. But, to me, it was adaptability. The way that I've always been wired dating back to, when I coached in the D League and when I first came to the NBA. If you're truly going to love, this profession of teaching and educating, you've got to read your audience. You got to know your audience. You got to know who you're working with every single day and understand what they need of you in that specific moment. So that's what I leaned into. I think that's what our staff leaned into. And luckily, I'm blessed to work with an amazing group of players that allows me to do that. I don't take that for granted being the head coach here. So definitely unique. We definitely had our circumstances. As you said, we had, guys coming in, fresh the first day and getting thrown in at night. I think, credit to our hustle staff as well and our hustle program. So many guys that were, playing with the hustle this year stepped up and filled some roles with us throughout the season. So having that connectivity, you never know what a season's going to present to you. So I think we leaned on a lot of different, people, throughout this process, but the one constant was trying to figure out how we're just going to address the needs of the team, today and go out and hopefully compete and give great efforts. So that's something that hopefully still a driving force, every single year for us here.
Hi, I have two quick ones. One, Gigi Jackson Summer League, yes, no, maybe. And do you have any insight on Zaire Williams' future potential going forward?
Yeah, Gigi anticipated him playing in Summer League. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for him. He and I talked about it, a couple of days ago, just to continue expanding on his game. Obviously, he showcased so much, this season. The kid's got so much potential, but when I see that potential realized, and it's not just saying it, it's doing it. I think he's fired up. We've obviously had great examples of guys that have made the most of Summer League, but we're going to make that specific to him. What are the things he's got to work on, challenge him offensively, defensively? The more that he can play, he loves to play. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for him. And, Z and I, talked about it. He's fired up. He came into the season, trying to have a most improved player mentality. Obviously, injuries got in the way. He's frustrated about it, but he's highly motivated to continue to work on his body. I think he's got so much into his game, so many intangibles. He's got a competitive fire that can be unlocked with being a great player on both ends of the floor for us. He can read the game, continue to work on his shots, something that we're going to challenge him with, and then just trying to be a guy that can be a versatile defender when he's locked in and he's healthy and he's out there. He's made, headway on that side of the floor and an impact for us defensively. So, we're really excited about the growth he can show this summer. Yep.
Taylor, given the adversity all year, were there times that you sat back and almost in the back of your mind said to opponents, have a good time this year, next year's going to be different?
Not really. Obviously I'm going to be, sitting at home watching a couple more months here of the playoffs, and it's going to, get my blood boiling. It's going to be getting my mind thinking about a lot of different things. Where's the league's at, how we got to continue to respond to how good the league is getting, and especially the West. But, we know what we're capable of doing. That's our biggest thing. We just got to, have that humility and understand that this was a difficult situation. It's not good enough, and it's not going to be our new norm. And, how we're going to have that chip on our shoulder, how we're going to have that hunter's mentality again, but we're actually going to put the work in and not just say we're actually going to do it. But no one needs to be put on notice. We just got to be put on notice that we got to get better. And that's going to be our driving force to have our success next season. Great. Thanks, everyone. Look forward to y'all seeing soon. Okay.
Y'all, Grizzly fan. Now, we should be excited about not just the returning of Coach Jenkins. I mean, the Grizzly player, but Coach Jenkins. Coach Jenkins gonna get some text, y'all. We ain't done yet. I promise you, we ain't done. If he got a weakness, that's his weakness is the officials. You scared of them officials. He's scared of them officials. Like he'll do the talking in the what's called, but it gonna have to be like I said, gonna have to be some games where he just gonna have to sacrifice himself for them players. And I think that's the next step. But anyway, hey, I like what Taylor Jenkins talking about. We're looking forward to what's coming this off season. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to see what this I forgot how it actually goes. It's a I don't know. I think the team that traded the most and trade away the most value. They traded away Steven Adams and they traded away Brooks. Those are starting type of players. So I think Memphis is gonna get no lesser than a top 10 draft pick. It's gonna be at least a top 10. It gotta be. Because they gave away too much. They gave away Dylan Brooks and they gave away Adams. That's 2 starters right there. Who else gave away 2 starting caliber? Well, you got a couple of teams that gave away not gave away some players, but made swaps. But hell, Memphis didn't get no swap. They took the picks, which was smart to you know what I'm saying, to go take the draft picks. Take the draft picks and then in all season now you got so many players.
Hey guys, I'm here with Dan. He's our new general manager at Crown in Cleveland, and he's local. We're so excited to be here.
6 or 7 players that the Grizzlies literally can like act that the Grizzlies literally. Hold up, bro. That pole been stopped. Okay. So now this finna be my part when finna talk about with Ja Morant. So this the part I like I said I like. Ready?
Ja, obviously you've been through a lot over the last year, off-court stuff. You come back and you get hurt right away, which seems pretty cruel. I think a lot of people are just wondering mentally and in your headspace, how have you dealt with this all, and how do you feel like you're prepared yourself to overcome this going to next year?
Early on, obviously it's tough. First time having an injury that really sat me out for a season. So that process was kind of hard, but as far as how I am mentally now is just motivated.
Kind of adding on to that a little bit, you had a different perspective this year, being on the bench. You watched, especially in the second half of the season, and you and a few of the other guys watching these games unfold. See the other day, watching LeBron and a lot of guys come to Memphis and win here. From a motivational standpoint, from an individual standpoint, what was your perspective like of seeing all of that unfold, knowing that you really couldn't do much?
It's frustrating. Obviously, I always want to be out there, fighting with the team. I couldn't, which pretty much, I had to deal with. But it's definitely, frustrating, wanting to be out there, but can't. And then you see, everything else that be going on. So.
Middle class thrive again.
Hey tech leads, this is Monday Dev, a platform to manage your entire product development lifecycle and connect everyone you work with.
How much did being able to be with the team during the suspension and then afterwards, after the injury, just being able to be around, sit on the bench, support everybody, how much has that helped just kind of your mindset and your mental state going forward? I know it's got to be hard to have sat out and then come back and did so well for 9 games, and then what happened?
It definitely helped me a lot. Obviously, pretty much made my life normal. On what I would normally do outside of playing games, but being able to travel, being in practices, shoot around, even on the bench, during the games, helped me a lot to still be around the guys and still be around basketball. Thank you.
I think you were back in the arena maybe a couple of days after surgery, and you obviously had the stretch where you were in the sling. Now you're progressing. Coach and Zach both said that you're probably towards the middle of June being a little bit closer to basketball activity. What's that approach like for you over these next couple of weeks and months as you rebuild your body back to where you need it to be?
Just rehab at a high level. Obviously, it could be that, but depends on how I go about my off season determines when I come back. So.
Hey, Ja, I know you played Coach Ja a lot this year. You was giving Gigi a lot of advice. How much enjoyment did you give, even though you can go out there and play, to give the young guys that encouragement, the little things here and little things there? How much enjoyment did you give out of it coaching the younger guys this year?
Pretty much, whenever, I felt like it was needed. Obviously we had, guys in different roles, as of late, second half of the season, due to, guys being out. So it's different. Obviously, it's going to be some, fall. Obviously, we put, guys like Gigi, Vince at the point as, the number one option, which they probably didn't expect to happen, this early on. But, I feel like those guys did well. And, anything I felt like they could have, been better at or do something better at or need to look for, I just tell them. But excited of, how everybody came in and stepped up and played, hard and at a high level for us. It's exciting to see, and hopefully it gives them a lot of confidence to show them they can do it.
How do you assess what this team needs moving forward to give you guys the best chance to win a championship? And where is your belief that with you and Dez and Jaren that can be a possibility for you?
I think we can do it next season, honestly. God willing, everybody stays healthy. As far as, any other thing that go on about the roster, I think that's above me. So,
John in the back. Zach said that Derrick Rose's impact on the locker room has been massive this year. What kind of impact has Derrick had on you?
A tremendous impact. It's pretty much, a big brother. Locker right beside mine. So, we pretty much get to the gym around the same time, always talking, pretty much basketball. It's an honor. I got his son, playing for my AAU team right now. So it's a, even, deeper relationship there. But he's been, big time for me, big time help. Obviously, like I said earlier, I never had a, injury that sat me out for the season, and, he had a couple. So, being able to, help me through this process was, big time.
Ja, there was a report a couple weeks ago that you're switching agents. I'm curious what went into that decision and what you're looking for moving forward in that.
Yeah, I will be, but I felt like it was time.
And then just as a thought for you, I mean, you mentioned, a lot of your off season just depends on when you can actually get back to those basketball activities. But what do you want to be able to support next year? How are you going to grow as a player next season? Once you are able to start working.
We'll figure it out when that time comes. Right now, my focus is on, getting back to it's going to be, 2-3 months. But until then, that's my main focus.
Ja, just speaking more on this summer, you got a little bit more on your plate, the rehab, sure, individual improvement, and then with your AAU program as well. Kind of how do you plan on handling all that? You're going to spend more time in Memphis or in, South Carolina, Georgia. What's this summer kind of looking like for you?
I'm going to be here until I'm, cleared to, start my process. Outside of the weekends, traveling with my AAU team, I'll be, right here with y'all.
What to ask about in the back? What to ask about the AAU team? We've seen a lot of stuff on social media with that lately. At a time where you haven't been able to play, to start that up and really be able to sink your teeth into that, how beneficial has that been for you, and how much have you enjoyed it?
It's been big time. I want to shout out, the parents, of the kids, also the kids. My AAU team's pretty much brought, some light that I needed in my life. Super excited now to actually be able to travel to, all the tournaments and, be there with them. Goal is just to, push the youth and, continue to, get them better and, get them looks.
Hey, Ja, Jared made improvements on his offensive games. What are your thoughts on that?
Say it again.
Made offensive improvements this season. He had to have a bigger role. What is your impressions on that?
Just to shows what he can do as a number one option. I seen it from the jump, so I'm not even, surprised at all. Surprised he didn't tell y'all to cuss him out when he don't. Surprised at all. Surprised he didn't tell y'all to cuss him out when he don't.
Now check this out. I'll be right back. I'm gonna come back with the part 2. I think this video a little too long, but I will be back. I'm coming back with Jerry Jackson Jr. and coming back with Bang. And I'll probably add one more, maybe Smart, or maybe it just depends. I may just let it flow. Brandon Clark, Vincent Williams, G.G. Jackson, and so forth. So I will be back. See you later. I'll be right back. I'm gonna come back with the part 2. I think this video a little too long, but I will be back. I'm coming back with Jerry Jackson Jr. and coming back with Bang. And I'll probably add one more, maybe Smart, or maybe it just depends. I may just let it flow. Brandon Clark, Vincent Williams, G.G. Jackson, and so forth. So I will be back. Peace.